There's a lot of issues getting debated in the Call of Duty scene right now, but one of them that I see a lot is the Pick 10 class system. A lot of people want it back. There are some that don't. Well, about a week ago, we got an answer directly from Treyarch as to what they think about Pick 10. This was an interview with the design director at Treyarch, Matt Scronce. And this is what he said. Pick 10 is a debate we have every single game, and some people on my team just want us to do it so bad. We talk about it all. We haven't went back to it yet because I'm not convinced it's better. I think there's an argument to be made that there's trade-offs, but at the same time, now I have to put a little bit more thought into my loadout creation. I have to do a little bit of math, and I'm thinking about all these players who play our game and how it is right now, where I just go in and I click, 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 and I fill up the slots, right? It's an easy thing to do. Now, that's not to say we'll never revisit that concept of Pick 10, but I think where we're at right now, we're doing exactly what makes perfect sense for Black Ops 7. His perception of Pick 10 is that it's a little bit more complicated than the current loadout system, which I don't agree with at all, but I don't know what I would do in his position. I believe that he genuinely believes that Pick 10 is not right for Black Ops 7, and maybe I'm wrong about this. I just want to come on here, since he said he's never been convinced it's better, to give my points as to why I think Pick 10 is the better system. I don't think this will actually change anything in Black Ops 7, but I might as well try. But I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. Now, this one's kind of funny to include first because he did say in his thing that he thinks there's an argument to be made about trade-offs. I just want to go ahead and get it out of the way because I do have to mention it because it is a big argument. So yes, the Pick 10 system offers flexibility of trade-offs. All the gear, attachments, and perks were a complete choice. If you wanted to do more perks, you could sacrifice grenades or a secondary. This meant that every class had some type of personality. Gunsmith forces everyone to carry grenades and secondaries by default, creating less variety, which we'll go into the point too. One of the big points of Gunsmith is that it offers players more choice. I think that the Gunsmith system actually creates less choice. I would like to look over next a few classes that I picked up from BO2. I just googled BO2 classes, and I just want you to see the variety in these different classes and how much choice it offered to players. Take a look at the first one. He's got his primary weapon, an MP7, and he's got fast mags with suppressors, so he did 2 attachments. He's got 2 wild cards, all for perks. So he's got 5 perks on this class with his 1 gun with 2 attachments. He removed his secondary and he removed his tacticals and lethals in order to do that. This guy wants to rely only on his MP7 and run and gun, and he wants to buff himself with some extra perks. And he was able to do that very easily. All he did was remove a few things. The number is the whole it's more complicated thing doesn't make sense to me. That depends on the UI. This UI to me is so simple, and it literally counts the numbers for you at the top. So there's really no way you can get confused. Taking a look at this next one here, he also is maxed out at 10, but he's got a primary weapon, the SMR, with 3 attachments and 4 perks. So he opted in having a stronger primary weapon by taking primary gunfire wildcard and perk 2 greed so he can have scavenger so he can run that weapon longer without having to pick up another weapon or die. Class number 3, it's a similar setup, but this time this guy wanted his 2 attachments for his primary weapon. He wanted a secondary. He just wanted 3 basic perks, and he wanted his lethal and 2 tacticals. He had an option to fill up everything besides putting an attachment on his secondary, which you don't really need, but if you did want to, then all he'd have to do is remove 1 of the tacticals. Here's the last example I have. This guy wanted to just run knife only, and he was able to do that. He got his ballistic knife. He got 5 perks. He had a lethal and a tactical. Still 10 counted for him the whole way through. And then I want to look at some BO6 classes, because when we look at this and you say this is too complicated for our player base, but then you have to go look at something like this, I don't understand the argument. So this first one we're looking at, and both of these are going to be pretty similar because they are pretty similar. Every class in BO6 is pretty similar. This guy has his primary where he has 5 attachments on it, 5 different attachments that he sat through and found for his primary weapon. And then you have his secondary where he has 5 attachments on it again, and he's got his knife, and he's got double stim shots because of his wild guard. He's got a grenade, he's got a tactical insertion, he's got 4 perks because of the specialty perk, and he had to do no trade-offs for it. He got everything he wanted. He maxed out every single thing in this class system. Hold on, I'm getting somewhere, okay? And then we look at this class setup, same thing, except this guy, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 attachments on his primary weapon. He's got 2 attachments on his secondary. He's got his knife. He's got the stim shot and a grenade and a trophy system and his 4 perks again because of the specialty perk. I don't understand. You want to talk about like complicating class systems. I'm gonna show you guys this one last image here. Okay, we've got this person right here. Right now he's got 8 attachments on his primary weapon without an optic. He's got 8 without the optic. Okay, when you go into a class like this, if you look at BO2, when you click on the primary weapon, you have 2 attachments, and then you pull up a menu that has a list of attachments. When you have something like, let's say, if you want to stock, okay? If you want to stock on an old Call of Duty game, you just pick stock, okay? Stock does what stock does. If you open the stock drop down in this game, you've got like 8 different stocks to choose from that all do different things, and you got to sit there and read each one and figure out which one you want. And it's the same for every single attachment. In Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, whatever games had pick 10, you chose, if you wanted to aim down your sights quicker, you chose quick draw. If you wanted less recoil, you chose grip. If you wanted to be able to move your gun while aiming a little bit faster, you chose stock. You didn't have to choose 100 freaking different attachment options for 8 different yeah, okay, I'm getting a little carried away, guys. We're gonna draw back in here. We're going right into point 2 right here, because it leads in together, and that's less grenades ban. It's a very simple point. It's not very broad argument, but it is a huge argument, because in BO2, BO3, people often traded grenades for their perks and attachments, which naturally reduced the utility spam. But in these newer games, every single player spawns in with a grenade and a tactical, so maps, especially like Nuketown. Have you played Nuketown Domination on BO6? Have you played Nuketown Hardpoint on BO6? Nuketown's the one I'm remembering, but I mean, any of the strike maps, really. Have you played those maps with this class system when everybody has a grenade? You know how much better the game would flow if people had to choose between some attachments and grenades for their class setups? Like the amount of grenade spam because everyone's got a grenade. I don't know about you guys, but literally this was the meme in the beginning of Black Ops 6 life cycle, and it's still true because I played last night for the first time in a few months because I have a grenade. I don't want a grenade. I've never been the type to carry grenades unless it's a tomahawk. But whenever I spawn in, I just throw the grenade, and everyone else does it. We just throw the grenade mid map and then run every time you spawn. So you're already spawn dying because of skill based matchmaking, and every time you're throwing grenades, so there's just nades everywhere. Like literally everywhere. It's insane to think that that's a good idea. In the older games, people had trade-offs because they chose they wanted more attachments or they chose they wanted more perks, so they gave away their grenades, so there was less grenade spam on the map. But you could still have people running grenades, so grenades were still a problem for you. That's why you would pick and choose something like Flak Jacket or Tac Mask, but it wasn't prevalent. It's not something you need. In the newer Call of Duties, if you're not running Flak Jacket, you're screwed. Either way, you're screwed. So that's kind of a really toned in issue right there, and it's very easy to hit home on. Like I don't really have to go into much detail on there. Like you get the point. I have some Black Ops 6 gameplay in the back. I'm gonna try to find a Nuketown Domination or Hardpoint game to play for you guys so you can see the grenade spam. But if you can't, I'm sure most people know how bad the spam is. It's literally insane. But anyways, moving on to point 3, knife only viability. Now this is another very unique niche argument because I like to sometimes run around with just a melee weapon, okay? Now with pick 10, you could just strip your class down to just a knife and stack perks and run around knife only properly. But in the newer CODs, you're always forced into spawning with guns, which means you have to switch to your knife every single time you die, which is just an extra step. It honestly just restricts the player even more. If I want to remove my guns and just have a knife, I should be able to do that. The dedicated melee slot is a good idea, and I think that's okay to have, but if I want to just go knife only, I should be able to go knife only. Like at the very end of the day, it's not that big of a deal, but when you want to talk about being accessible to new players and for player freedom, then pick 10 was always the way to go. There's been several times in Black Ops 6 where I wanted to go knife only or baseball bat only or whatever, but I'm forced to carry a primary and a secondary, and that way every time I die I have to re-pull out my knife again. It's not the biggest hassle in the world, but it's annoying. Sometimes I just want to go pistol only. There was more expression in pick 10. People got to choose how they wanted to play more, and they got to build their own play styles around that. It made the game more diverse with everything that was happening. Another thing that I think really targets exactly what he was saying is that I think that pick 10 is actually the cleaner and simpler system. I don't think it's as complicated as he makes it seem. You don't have to sit there and count. The game counts for you at the top. It just depends on the UI, like I said before. But it was very simple to understand. understand. I don't know anyone who was confused by the pick 10 system. But the Gunsmith, on the other hand, is bloated with all these different attachment combinations. I mean, you saw the classes, they had 8 attachments on it without the optic, and each attachment slot has like 8 different attachments to sort through. It's extremely complicated. And to go off of that, when I wanted to make a new class in BO2, I would make my class really quick. I'd throw in the perks I knew I wanted. I'd pick my gun. It could be something unique. I could try a new gun, whatever it may be. I knew what attachments were good for it. And I would throw on 2 attachments, maybe 3 if I was feeling like 3 attachments. But I'd throw on my attachments, and that was it. But in Black Ops 6, I have to sit there and read all the stats of each attachment, go through each attachment, and I spend a whole lot of time in the main menu just making a class just for it to not be as good as the Jackal or the Amy's. I think that Gunsmith is a cool idea, and I do think that a lot of players like it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that if we're talking about easier to understand, then Gunsmith is way more complicated. Overall, there may not be many individual points to address then why pick 10 is better than the Gunsmith system. I probably missed a few, and if you guys have any other things you'd like to add, please leave a comment down below. But the main points that I did say, I think are a very strong argument as to why pick 10 is the better system. Not only is it more simple to understand, but it actually makes decision making in your class meaningful. The trade-offs that are in the pick 10 system allow for a smoother pacing in the map, less grenade spam, more interesting weapons, and more freedom if you want to do pistol only or knife only without having to swap your weapons every time you spawn in. I'm not expecting this change to happen in Black Ops 7. It'd probably be too hard now for them to revert back to pick 10, but I just thought I'd give an argument, so maybe in future Call of Duties that we get, we could go back to the pick 10 system. But there are other ways to expand the pick 10 system to work with the Gunsmith. I understand that the Gunsmith is something that people like, and I'm okay with it. Even though I'd rather the more simplistic attachments, I'm okay with Gunsmith if that's what the community wants. But there are ways to make it more balanced. The main point of the pick 10 system isn't that you're actually picking 10. The main point and the argument that we're making, you have to choose what you want in your class. You don't get to just have grenades by default. If you want 8 attachments in your gun, that's fine. But you should have to sacrifice your lethal and tactical. So my main argument is that pick 10 is the better system. I'm sure Matt Scronce has heard these arguments before, but maybe he hasn't. And I thought coming from an average Call of Duty player who just wants to enjoy the game would make it a little bit easier to understand. He is the one making the decisions over there, so at the end of the day, he's going to do whatever he thinks best, and I can't fault him from that. I just hope that when the beta comes out, when the game comes out, that they listen to the criticism, and that instead of just doing what they think is best, that they just give the players what they want. Make sure you guys go follow me on Twitter. I'm pretty active over there when it comes to Call of Duty stuff, and I don't really get that much interaction with my tweets, and I would like to get a little bit of a base going over there, so if you guys would, it'll be the top link in the description. Go follow me over there. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Subscribe for a ping one. Subscribe.
Click subscribe
for a ping one. It's free.